Welcome to the channel. On this Ultra Bee that I've got, it's completely standard. I'm trying to improve the range on a budget. Today's video is about the front part. I'm going to change the primary drive for the DirtyBike X-ring chain conversion kit. Now this is specific for the Ultra Bee. They've modified this front sprocket now. Before you used to have to put a spacer in, you don't have to do that anymore. So this video is going to be how easy that is to do, but also we're going to put the standard O-ring chain back on. Now it hasn't got a link, so you have to sneak the swing arm out of the way. So what we've got in the kit is you get a key ring, you get the front sprocket, and this is slightly wider than the previous versions, so you don't need that washer. Rear sprocket, this is a 36 tooth. Now this should match or be pretty close to standard gearing, so hopefully we won't see any changes there. X-ring chain, and there's a little packet of grease in there as well. You do get instructions, but these are for the old kit, so the sprocket looks slightly different, it's marked differently, and you've got this washer in instructions which you don't get on this new sprocket. It just says you've got the DB logo and outside, so this should be a lot simpler, and it should all line up nicely. That's my standard O-ring chain. I'm going to sneak that back on. Now on mine, pretty grim, mine is an RK, but it's an old standard road chain. There you go. Right, so the standard chain that was fitted to this in the UK is an RK 520 KL02. Now I can't find any details on that since about 3 years ago, so there's obviously a bunch of them they had somewhere, but however. The other thing I got is the swing arm aligning tool. Just makes it a little bit easier. I mean, you could find a socket that fits and do the same thing, or even if you had a bit of pipe maybe. It's just to hold the swing arm in place. Now the first two things we're going to do, and the last two things we're going to do, are loosen off the nut for the motor and loosen off the rear wheel, because we are going to have to slacken the chain to make life a little bit easier. But this covers just two 4mm Allen keys. Now that nut is done up to 50 Newton meters. It's going to be a lot easier to undo that if we can put the brakes on and use the rear wheel to stop that from turning, because otherwise this is just going to want to spin. See? If we put the brakes on, we should be able to stop that. Well, that didn't work. So plan B is I've got a long extension that goes through the large pulley at the back, and it just touches the swing arm, both sides, so it doesn't go wonky. That should stop that from turning now. There we go. She's tight. I suppose you wouldn't want it falling off. Put that in there gently so you don't scratch the swing arm. Okay. This is a 27mm. And the torque setting on this is 140 Newton meters, so expect a fight. So now we're going to take the subframe off. This is the Ultra Bee T, so it's got rear lights. But the only difference is just behind here, there's a little electrical plug that supplies the power to the rear lights and the indicators. So you just have to separate that. Other than that, it's the same as the off-road version. So what we've got to do now is there's two 6mm Allen key bolts on either side, and there's a 3mm there. This one just holds the trim in. Take them out. These two here, they have to be torqued up when they go back together, 25 Newton meters I think it is, but they're also Loctited, so first time you take these off, they might feel a bit rough and be tight most of the way out. Now that's out of the way, we're going to take the shock off. I've put a block underneath this wheel. Reason being is I don't want it to drop right down. When we take that shock off, you've got the brake pipe and electrical wheel speed sensor cable, and it sort of drags it down, so I don't want to damage that cable. I'm going to take this right out. You don't have to, but I'd find it's easier just to get it out of the way, because getting this cover off is a real pain. Top bolt, 14 mil. I think these are set to 60 Newton meters. I'll leave that on for now. And then we want to take these bottom two out there, an 8 mil Allen key. First time I took this off, getting this back in, there was like a rough edge where it had been machined. It made it really hard, so I just really gently with a file just chamfered the edge a tiny little bit. Didn't go mad. Just made it a little bit easier to go back in. Right, I'm going to take this bottom one out here, which is a 12 mil and another 14. Before this falls off. Keep them together. And that's got like a machine side, so there's only a nut on one side. It fits in right hand side as you're looking at the bike. Right, now we can take this cover off. There's 3 5 mil Allen keys. There's one at the top here. There's one on the inside, just down from that one. And then this one here. And on mine, this one was damaged, so I had to repair the thread. You will have to fight this out. If there's an easy way of getting that out, I haven't found it yet. That's the advantage of blocking that up as well. It keeps this up out of the way. I found last time, because it was being pulled down, it made this bit even harder than it already is. There you go, that's the cover. And look, chewed all that up. So that's the bottom this side, that's the top one, and then the third one is just there. You just get it from inside here. And this has to be greased. You need to lubricate that when you're putting it back together. This has to be torqued up. It's got quite a fine thread. I wouldn't over tighten this one, but all the torque settings are in your manual, which is nice. That's going to support the swing arm, but this bit at the front there will not, or start the bolt coming out. That one there. Don't undo them, or don't take them out, just slacken them off. They just need to be enough for the motor to move. Now I've got to undo the adjuster. So the lock nut is a 10mm. You could use a deep socket to get that off. And then this is a 5mm Allen key. If we slacken that off, as soon as you start moving, you can do it by hand. And then we should be able to, if we loosen these off and off, just move the motor. Use your hands, don't get in there with a bar, because there's like fins on here, you don't want to break them. That could be bad. Right, that's slack, probably, oh there you go. That comes off, we'll just leave that hanging now. And this has been pushed out slightly by the tool. So you need to get that out and then put it across. You might have to shift the weight off the swing arm to get it to move. My one's quite tight. Really tight. There you go. Once you get it moving, it's all right. And then if you need to tap it anymore, just very gently tap it like that. Don't take this out. We want that to hold in there, to hold the swinging arm on. But if it does come out, it's not the end of the world. Just pop it back in. Pull this off. You should better wiggle this shaft down, just moving that bolt. Get the chain out of the way. Makes it a little bit easier. Get this belt out of the way. It comes out now. That's the bit we're after. But what I'm going to do now is I want to put my old O-ring chain back on, because I want to see what the range is like with the standard chain, standard O-ring chain, and just the primary chain. So I'm going to slip this one off. This has got a split link in it, but I've got to do this anyway to put the old one back on. I tell you, the standard chain goes rusty pretty quick. Right, this is where you might see me drop this bike. But bear in mind that the brakes, the rear wheel's still on. I haven't had to disconnect anything, so now's the time to do it. There we go. So that's the old O-ring chain back on. Now I'm loosely holding this in the vise. It's actually on the sprocket. I don't like doing it, but there's not anything really nice to grab hold of. These are 5mm Allen keys, so they shouldn't be too tight. Right. Yeah. Load your Loctite. So Loctite these on when they go back. So that's the old pulley, and this is the new sprocket. And it looks slightly smaller, but I should imagine if you think the width of the height of the belt, by the time you stick a chain on there, the actual centre line of the thing might be about right. Maybe marginally smaller. I don't know. I think it's pretty close. It looks pretty close. And then The profile's the same, so I'm just going to put the text on the outside. That should sit in there like that. Right, Loctite. Now the video I saw, they were going to supply Loctite, but I didn't get any. So I'm using Loctite 243, is it? And I can't find a torque setting for this, so I'm just going to do it up tight, not too tight, it's only a 5mm bolt. This vise has got wooden jaws, so hopefully I can, that's better. Oh, didn't have that one in properly. Right. That bit done. Just managed to clamp it on these bits here, so yeah, if you've got wooden jaws, that's much easier. Forgot I had that, and it's only there, it's under a box. Right, this should come off. You might have to give it a little bit of encouragement. Right, I can't find my puller plate. Two of these, two 10mm bolts. If you just go off to the side, I've put the nut back on to give me more to push against, and also, more importantly, to protect that thread. And then if we get this light, this should work just like a pair of scissors. There we go. It's not tight on there, it's just kind of stiff. Yeah, it's not tight, it's just stiff, but it's all the way. It's the Woodruff key. I don't know why that was. Looks alright. Just a screwdriver. And the end is rounded. See, it's got like a square end and a rounded end. So that shows you it goes that way and it sits in, and it should sit, put it in the wrong way, it won't go so far back. See that sticking out? So just make sure that goes in the right way around. Conveniently, got outside written on it. And if you hold your Woodruff key, you should be able to slide that in over the top. We might not be able to do this up much, but like I say, this will be the last, this and the rear wheel will be the last thing that we actually touch. I wouldn't gun this up. This has got to be 50 Newton meters, so just do it up by hand rather than put a load of impact through that. While this is off, just check there's no, it's not picked up any grit, because you don't want to run that in your chain. Make sure the shaft's clear, then we can stick this back on. Going to hook the chain on it. Put it over there. This This is a little bit easier going back, I would say. Let's get that chain out of the way. Because that sprocket's thinner, you've got a little bit more space. If we line that up, we can push that through. Then this can come out. Then we get that chain on. So put this in. 60 Newton meters, we can do this one up. Just had a horrible moment. I took the split link off and dropped one of these O-rings as it must have stuck to the chain. I thought I'd got it off, and I picked the chain up, put it on, and I couldn't find it. And I was just about to say a lot of nasty words, and it turned up and it was just sitting there. Oh, that was a horrible sinking feeling, because this is a 420 chain. How easy it would be to get a replacement, whether you have to buy the whole chain or not, but however. Grease these up and guard these with your life. But however, yeah, just a note, O-rings, oh, keep hold of them. Right, I'm going to get this on. Right, now we need to adjust this chain, but you need to keep rotating it and find the tightest spot to do it in. So for that I need to be able to spin the back wheel, which is obviously hanging down. So I'm going to put the shock absorber on, but before we do that, I'm just thinking I'm going to put this through here across the top of the swing arm. Swing arm. A bit of rag under there to stop it damaging it. I'm going to try and tighten that nut. Put a little bit of tension on this so it's not loose. 50 Newton meters, let's see if this works. Go back, and then it should. And roll it forward, take the tension off, and hopefully we haven't damaged anything. Brilliant, there we go. Right, that's one way of doing it, and then we can put the cover on now. So if you do that before you put the cover on, gives you a bit more opportunity to get in there and brace it. So cover on, shock absorber on, torque it up, and then we'll look at tension in the belt once this wheel's sitting up a bit higher. It's gone in too far. Look. Oh, here we go. Well, that's easier than with the pulley on it. Something I did notice when I put the put it on last time, if you over tighten this nut, or if you tighten this nut without holding that, it twists that way. So when you spin the wheel, it rubs on the pulley. So just check that when you've got this back together, that it all rotates. It doesn't hit anything. It's really easy to squash that. Right, that's that. Got to make sure it clears the pipe and the cable, and make sure this connector doesn't get damaged. But I found it was easier to put this bottom nut in first, nut and bolt, the 12mm and the 14, and then you can give that a little bit of an encouragement to go in. 12mm in on the left hand side, that's the way it came out. And then these are the two that were a bit of a pain to try and get in. 8mm Allen key and put some grease around them. But I've got to do this all again when I change that, take that chain off, because I don't want to cut it off just in case I ever need it. But I'll lubricate these a bit bad on the final assembly. Right, that's that in. And this top one goes in this side, because it's got that flat, remember. But we will have to lift the wheel. That's that. $60. This one again is 60. Right, now we can tension that chain. Now wheel moves. And the idea is 5 to 8mm, so I think we'll go on the tighter side, but just seeing if there's any tight spots. Nothing that feels too outrageous. Okay. 5mm Allen key, that's a 6, 5mm Allen key, I've seen a lot of people say the problem with the noise on these is when you have it too tight. Just past that link is probably the tightest spot so far. That's the tightest spot. So if we adjust it there, hopefully the rest of it should fall in line. That's a bit too tight, I think. Oh, now we're too loose. That's a bit too slack. I'm going to try and roll this around a couple of times and try and get it set between 5 and 8mm, probably closer to the 5 than the 8, because I think this will probably relax a little bit once it's done a few miles. Right, I'm going with that for now, because I've got to take this apart tomorrow again anyway, swap that chain out, so I'm in a lucky position, I suppose, where I can check this. But there are areas where it's quite loose and then it tightens up, so I've set that the tightest bit to 5mm. it'd be nice if it all evens out once it's done a few miles. Hopefully this isn't too tight and too noisy, but apparently that's the problem when people complain about noise. It's just that it's too tight, which would figure. So I'm going to just lock that up now. And then tighten these bolts, 6mm Allen keys. Don't over tighten these, because these are like a serviceable item, tightening the chain. So the last thing you want to do is damage the threads. I'm just nipping them up, and then I'm going to check make sure nothing's changed, which that has. It's got a little bit tighter. Backwards and forwards. Right. Repeat that process until we're happy with that bit there, which is about 5 links back from that, 4 links back from that. I'll make that a little bit looser. It takes a few goes, but when you tighten these bolts up, the chain tightens. So be prepared for a little bit of fettling, but I'm hoping that once it's done a few miles, that won't be an issue. But yeah, don't over tighten these bolts. 25 Newton meters. Still a bit tight, but in other places there's quite a difference. Hopefully that's going to even out. But I'm only going to do what, 12, 15 miles if I'm lucky on this, and then it'll I'll be taking it apart again, checking it. This is the noise. It's not horrendous. I should have done it before and after. But now this can go back in. Make sure that our pipes are clear, connections where it should be. And then get any bolt you can in first. Now these need some thread lock on it, but obviously I'm going to be pulling this apart tomorrow, and the torque setting for these is 25 Newton meters. Torque these up. There's 2 4mm Allen key screws go in there. If you've got a road version with the tail lights, don't forget to plug this back in. It's a 6-way connector, and goes in one way. And then we'll do these bolts up. But if you lay it all out as you take it apart, when you've run out of bolts, you know you're nearly done. Unless, like me, you kick a X-ring all over the shop. But Loctite these, 25 Newton meters. I'll do the test drive and the range test on that other video. If you want to watch that, I'll put that up here. If you could like and subscribe, help me grow the channel. Hopefully you found this one interesting, or it's helped you out if you're going to go down this route. I'll see you on the next one.